Right now, millions of people are eagerly packing their cars, counting down the days to their beach trips, and posting sunset photos. But for a specific segment, watching the temperature climb brings out a creeping dread. Stepping out into a sweltering, exposed afternoon feels like a punishment. You sit there watching everyone else celebrate the heat, and a quiet isolation sets in. You don't hate having fun. You just actively recoil from the specific brand of fun that involves sweat, UV damage, and the heavy obligation to look thrilled about it. Nobody hands you a mandatory behavioral checklist in November. People don't look at you sideways in February if you prefer to stay indoors. It dictates your mood, changes your summer wardrobe, and your social calendar realigns around the sun. When your internal state rejects that dominant culture, you start wondering if something is broken inside your brain. You quietly question your own psychological stability simply because you cannot find the joy everyone else claims is everywhere. The friction you are experiencing starts at a strict neurological level. Researchers who study sensory processing, specifically through Elaine Aron's work on the highly sensitive person, note that roughly 20% of the population has a nervous system wired to pick up more environmental input. There is more noise, more visual stimulation, more intense heat. For that 20%, summer functions as a persistent sensory assault that never clocks out. The radiating, inescapable heat pushes an already stimulated nervous system past discomfort and into a state of physical alarm. Your system is loudly warning you about an environment that other people's systems easily tune out. Then, the environmental stress is compounded by a secondary threat. June rolls around, everyone's schedule clears at exactly the same time, and a dense ambient pressure to fill those blank spaces immediately takes over. The group chats begin to wake up. The expectation that everyone must constantly be available and eager to participate in outdoor activities becomes suffocating. If you find that aggressive kind of social availability exhausting rather than exciting, the season feels like an endless marathon of forced engagement. Trying to articulate that exhaustion traps you in a corner. There is almost no way to explain why you want to stay in an air-conditioned room without sounding like you are complaining about having friends. You are forced to swallow the fatigue. You endure the sensory overload, and then you feel deeply guilty for being tired in the first place. Carrying that dual weight, the physical discomfort and the social shame, quietly corrodes your sense of self for 3 uninterrupted months. While the external social pressures are exhausting, there is a literal biochemical breakdown happening silently inside the body that completely escapes notice. Extended daylight hours actively interfere with the body's internal chemistry. Light suppresses melatonin production. When the sun stays up longer, your brain delays the signals required for sleep onset, pushing your entire circadian rhythm out of balance. This graph tracks sleep duration across 12 months. Notice the distinct 16-minute dip across June, July, and August, dropping below the winter baseline. Losing 16 minutes sounds negligible, but tracked continuously over 90 days, it compounds into hours of missed recovery. A nervous system running on a compounding sleep deficit begins to fray. The immediate results are heightened anxiety, a shorter temper, and an inability to regulate emotions. You likely assume your irritability is a subjective reaction to the hot weather. In reality, the environment is subjecting you to a localized season of literal biochemical sleep starvation. The physiological toll explains the exhaustion, but the distinct sense of anxiety tied to summer often originates from the mechanics of human memory. Seasons carry emotional residue. If you spent your childhood in a house where the summer heat made everyone loud and tense, or if losing the structure of the school year left you feeling unmoored, your brain locked that stress. And the human brain struggles to separate historical trauma from identical present-day sensory input. The scent of sunscreen, the slanted late afternoon light, the hum of a lawnmower. These cues act as involuntary time machines. Before any negative event has even occurred in your present day, those sensory inputs force your nervous system into a tense, highly defensive posture. Your body braces for an impact that already happened years ago. That nameless resistance you feel in late May is an involuntary neurological defense mechanism. You are reacting to unresolved experiences, reacting to an environment that historically cost you peace. Viewing this entirely through the lens of trauma and sensory overload misses a crucial piece of the psychological picture. The rejection of summer often points directly to a highly valuable cognitive asset. Psychological research into thinking introversion outlines a specific personality facet defined by deep engagement with one's own imagination and inner life. The data consistently correlates this trait with a strong preference for cooler, quieter, and darker physical environments. If your idea of a perfect afternoon involves a quiet room and temperature control, your aversion to the loud, extroverted mandate of July is simply a byproduct of having cultivated a rich, complex internal world. Yet, because society demands enthusiasm for the heat, people who possess this trait spend their summers performing a mild, exhausting tolerance. They politely manage everyone else's feelings about the weather, hiding an intellectual asset behind a fake smile. That friction you feel is the hallmark of deep self-awareness. The comfort you find sitting quietly with your own thoughts requires an internal architecture that many people spend years in therapy attempting to build. When September finally arrives and the sky darkens, you feel a massive wave of relief. That relief is not an embarrassing escape from the fun everyone else is having. It is vital, hard data about your true biological and mental needs. Your instinct to retreat indoors, to carefully ration your social energy, and actively protect your nervous system from the glare of the season is highly rational. Knowing exactly what costs you energy and choosing to protect yourself from it without apology is the ultimate victory of self-knowledge. You are paying attention to your own mind.